Welcome to Beyond Death, where we examine near-death experiences from people who say they have died and visited the other side. Today's NDE comes to us from a subscriber who wishes to remain anonymous. Whether you agree with their experience or not, please be respectful. Let's get straight into it. Dear Beyond Death, the following is my own account of my personal near-death experience as it happened to me. I understand it may offend some of your viewers, so if you choose not to include it on your channel, I will understand that as well. In 1986, I was in a car accident that left me paralyzed from the waist down and wheelchair-bound. This had a huge impact on my mental health, as I now felt totally useless. Before the accident, I had dreamed of becoming a firefighter, so I had worked out daily to keep myself in top physical condition. That obviously wasn't an option anymore. Knowing I was depressed over my paralysis, I tried speaking to friends and family, and even my church pastor, and someone, I forget who now, told me to make a list of things that I could still do while confined to a wheelchair. In the end, I took things the other direction and instead made a list of things I could no longer do. It was a very long list. When I was done with the list, I made my decision. I was going to end things. I gathered up every pill I could find and proceeded to take one for everything I had on the list. Did I mention it was a very long list? I'm not even sure what all or how many I took. I just know that I began to feel weird. It was like being drunk and overtired at the same time. Eventually, my eyes closed. The next thing I knew, I was standing in a sort of botanical garden. Glancing around me, I saw flowers of every color under the rainbow, including many colors I have never seen before and don't even have names for. It was the most beautiful flower garden I had ever seen. That's when I looked down and realized I was standing. I attempted to take a step, and I did. Then I took another, and another. I was so excited I began running down a pathway that led away from this garden. I let the warmth of the sun wash over me as I ran. Suddenly in front of me stood a being made entirely of an almost like light energy, and I stopped running. Somehow I knew I had no reason to fear this being, so I was not scared when it began to communicate with me. I use the word communicate because it did not talk as we understand talking to be. It simply thought, and I heard the words in my head, and I was able to respond in the same manner. "You're early," the being stated. "Early for what?" I replied. The being then said, "I mean you are not supposed to be here yet. It is not yet your time." Then the being added in, "But you are here now, so come with me." And it took my hand. Next we, the being and I, were standing inside a building that the being referred to as the Hall of Knowledge. I was led to a room where I was shown every single second of my life on Earth. I have listened to many of your videos where others who have had near-death experiences described having a life review, and I can tell you it's true. It is exactly as everyone else has said it was. I saw the good and bad things I had done while alive, and I experienced the events again from all perspectives. I felt every ounce of pain I had ever given to anyone else, and when I say pain, I don't mean physical pain. I mean I felt it deep inside on a more emotional level. When it was over, I was crying. I never knew my words and actions had impacted so many lives. If I were judging myself, I would have deemed myself evil and cast me out immediately. There was no judgment from the being, though, nor was there judgment at all. There was only learning, and when the being next spoke to me, it asked what I had learned from my life review. Still crying, I told the being that I had learned that we touch lives in more ways than we can ever know, and that we should all exercise more empathy towards others. The being then told me we had one more thing to see before I left. I did not yet understand that when the being said, "before I left," he meant before I returned to my earthly body. Again, this being of light took my hand, and again I found myself in a new environment. This one was full of the souls of people in my life that had passed over before me. I did not see physical bodies, yet I knew each instantly. My grandparents were there, as well as uncles and aunts, and a few cousins. Some I had never met on Earth, yet here, in this place, I knew them, and they knew me. They surrounded me and filled me with love. This love was more intense than what we call love on earth. I cannot even begin to describe it because I simply don't have words strong enough to do it justice. Finally, the being of light took my hand once more, and I found myself again in the beautiful botanical garden I had first encountered. "It is time for you to go back," the being stated. "Can I just stay?" I asked. "I really like it here, and back on Earth I am confined to a wheelchair. Don't make me go back." With those words, the being of energy touched my forehead, and I saw my life on Earth in the not-so-distant future. I saw myself married to a loving wife with a lovely daughter at her side. I saw myself working a job I loved and seriously enjoying my life. I even saw myself driving a car. These had all been things I had listed as me being unable to do because of my paralysis. If all that were possible, what else could I have gotten wrong, I wondered. "When you come back next time, you can stay," the being said. I woke in the hospital with my mother sitting bedside. She had been the one to find me. At the time she discovered my body, I was in my floor, passed out, and had puked up enough pills for paramedics to immediately know what had happened. The hospital had pumped my stomach, and I was placed on suicide watch. I had to spend a little time in the psych ward being evaluated to determine if I were a danger to myself, even though I had returned with a more positive outlook on life. When doctors at the mental health facility questioned if I was faking being positive just to be released so I could try it again, I was scared to tell them about my near-death experience. Remember, this was 1986, and they would have more than likely declared me insane for speaking about a being of light and dead relatives and a life review. I opted to remain silent. Even now, all these years later, I am reluctant to tell people about my other side experience. Before writing this email, I have only told my story to one other person ever, and that is my wife. She believed me. As for everything else I saw about my life on Earth if I returned, I have an adopted daughter who is now in college that my wife and I love dearly, and I work a desk job that challenges my mind while helping others, so while it isn't firefighting, I do enjoy it. I still do not drive, but I think that is mostly due to an irrational fear I developed after my car accident. You have my full permission to narrate my NDE on your channel if you choose to do so, but please remove anything that can identify me by name. Note from Beyond Death: if you have ever had your own near-death experience where you have died and came back, please consider emailing it to the channel at the link in the description. You can remain anonymous as this man chose to do. Thank you for watching.